Also, still plenty of time to hit up the test stand, hot dogs, popcorn, and all of that. Don't forget, great time to hit up the I-20 Classic Food Vendor right outside the TV on one side. Food truck, also turn taco style barbecue. Turkey legs, hot dogs. And on this hot day, snow cones. Snow cones gone wild. All that is available to you right outside. Stadium on the north end. And don't forget to remember, fans, this is game number 1. Our second game, 7 o'clock tonight.
Welcome back, Clark Stadium in Fort Worth. The I-20 Classic as we get ready for the start of half number 2, Duncanville. The Panthers from here in the Metroplex leading the Jones Fighting Tigers out of Orlando, Florida, 17-13 alongside Lane Grigg. I'm Kit McConico. And Lane, very evenly matched first half, but really marred by the penalties. That may be the biggest story of half number 1.
Absolutely marred by the penalties, and I think another thing we noticed towards the end of the first half, looks like there's going to be some key injuries on the part of Jones. The Miami commit, 0, Malik Bryant, he's going to be out. It looked like their quarterback, number 9, Maxon Jean-Denis, was also on the sideline. Of course, we'll look to see if they came out ready to go after halftime, but if you lose your big defensive end and you lose your signal caller, definitely changes up what Jones is going to be able to do here in the second half.
That's similar to what Duncanville had to deal with last week in their season opening victory over South Oak Cliff, where they lost their star quarterback. And, well, as a result, they have, without Jameer Willis, they have put in the sophomore, Keelan Russell, who's had a very good accounting of himself in his first start on the varsity side.
Another thing, if you remember that first half, that ended with the penalty against the Jones Tigers. So they're actually, instead of kicking off from the 40, this will be from the 25. And you would think Duncanville would start with really good field position for this first possession here in the second half.
Glad to have you with us on Flow Football. Game 1 in our doubleheader. Stick with us as DeSoto taking on St. Francis Academy. That'll be coming up next. So Panthers take it from the 20 to start this second half. Able to bounce it up to the 40 and to the 41 is where Duncanville will begin things in half number 2. Davion Blewett with the return for the Panthers.
Pretty good return, actually probably not that bad from the Jones point of view to get the ball out to the 40 after that 15-yard penalty. Really not the end of the world, really probably about as good as you could expect. But that big 15-yard penalty pushing you all the way back to the 25 to kick off with. We looked like Duncanville the first half behind a steady diet of Caden Durham there at running back was their strong suit. See if they pick up where they left off right here.
And they will. Durham gets the handoff, bounces it around the top side. First down and more to the 40, the 30, 20, 10. Touchdown Panthers. Caden Durham, first play from scrimmage in half number 2, takes it to the house.
And you can certainly see how the 4-star recruit Caden Durham is going to have plenty of people vying for his services in the future. On Saturday, he's only a junior. Breakaway speed, great cut, good size, good low center of gravity, and a dream start for the Duncanville Panthers in the second half as they go up 23-13. 10 points, looking to make it 11 here with the point after.
Last week, he had 119 yards, a touchdown in that season opener, and what a start here to half number 2. And Durham takes it in. Point after attempt is good in Duncanville with a 24-13 lead, seconds into half number 2.
And before their fans are back from the snack bar, one kick, one play, goes the distance, 60 yards. And a dream start for Duncanville. Jones maybe a little shell-shocked. It's going to be up to Coach Williams to get his side settled down and get back there on offense. Certainly no reason to panic. It's just 11 points. You got the entire second half to go. Be good to start things off with a good kick return right here. See if they can get some good field position of their own. Maybe give themselves a short field. Try to answer Duncanville's touchdown.
Jones elected to go with a steady diet of their junior running back, number 1, Jarian Parker. He was the bell cow back in the first half, and anticipate number 1 getting a lot of touches here in half number 2.
2 outstanding junior running backs here for both of these teams. Parker, of course, for Jones, and we've already seen what Caden Durham could do for Duncanville.
Duncanville coming off that 23-10 victory over South Oak Cliff a week ago. Jones had that 29-19 victory over Cocoa at Cocoa High School. After that loss to Miami Northwestern to begin the season. Fielded at the 1. And taken down shy of the 20. Varner Jacquez on the return.
Good coverage right there. That's really the first time Duncanville has been able to force that ball more towards the middle. For the most part, the Jones return team has been able to bounce that to the outside. Always better if you can get that ball to run up the middle where you have more people able to make the tackle. Once it gets to the sideline, you're really only one missed tackle away, and you're going to go the distance. You can see right there, number 7, Dylan Wade, scoring both touchdowns in the first half for Jones in that Wildcat formation, lining up here at his more traditional tight end.
It will be number 12, Christian Robbins, the sophomore, who remains the signal caller. And here comes the Panthers in pursuit. What a job. Outstanding work. Colin Simmons and Kadavion Dodson Walker on the tackle.
Good job, and it looks like, kid, it actually may be Maxon Jean-Denis back there at quarterback.
And you're exactly right, my friend. It is indeed number 9, the senior, Maxon Jean-Denis, who went out very early in the second quarter, did not play the remainder of the first half, and it's number 9 in white who starts here as the quarterback, and that is a good sign for Jones. Looking for the sideline, unable to hook up with his intended target. Jabari Smith there couldn't come with the reception.
Jabari Smith just past his fingertips, trying to do the toe tap, and I think what I'll be looking for here from Jean-Denis is going to be, is he going to be full speed? Is he going to be able to run, and is he going to be able to move as he normally would, or is he going to kind of have to be still back there in the pocket and take away the run game, the play action game, the sprint out pass? We'll see how mobile he ends up being.
3rd and 11, Parker switches to the other side. And here it comes, Jean-Denis taking down Duncanville there. Vernon Grant, the linebacker, in with the sack.
And I think you could see Jean-Denis slow to get up right there. And I think he's got a bad wheel and he's not going to be quite as mobile. It'll be interesting to see if he comes out for the next possession. But take nothing away from number 20, Vernon Grant, getting home on the linebacker blitz, and a big sack and a statement. Every defense in the country, in high school all the way up to the NFL, one of their goals on the goal board as always. 3 and out in the first possession of the second half, and Duncanville achieved it.
Tigers punting away from their own end zone. Booming kick. And it will take a Panthers bounce and out of bounds. And so Duncanville, great starting field position. They will begin things in Jones territory at the 42.
I know what I would do on this play. If I was the Duncanville Panthers offense, I think I would get the ball again to Caden Durham, because you know they're fresh and he's ready to go. We've seen the explosion. No reason to do anything fancy. You're up 11. You know that 29 can take it to the house anytime he gets free.
Took him all of one play to do just that in the previous drive. And again to Durham they go. Durham bounces it outside. Durham up across the 30, the 20, the 10, and out of bounds inside the 5. It was almost deja vu. A touchdown saving tackle as Durham out at the 4.
And I'm going to tell you what, let me tell you a young man that deserves a lot of credit on that play. Wide receiver number 4, the sophomore, DeCorian Moore. He's out there on the edge, and he throws an absolutely phenomenal block to spring the runner.
Porter down to the 2 before he is knocked back. Forward progress there as they will actually mark it at the 1. You can see Panthers looking to move quickly.
A little hurry up here.
Kinney remains the back. Kinney bounces it. A cross it in. A touchdown, Caleb Kinney in Duncanville.
And Jones looking a little bit winded. They've been out there 2 plays in a row that went for a really long distance. Look like they're just not quite set. Look like they're not quite ready for what Duncanville has in an explosive offensive category. And what a luxury when Durham needs to go on the sideline for a breather. You just bring in Caleb Kinney and he takes it to pay dirt.
Point after attempts. No good. So 30-13. Duncanville has come out on fire to start the second half. And whatever Reginald Samples had to say to his Panthers at halftime has certainly had the intended effect.
Absolutely. An incredible start. 2 touchdowns in 4 plays. 2 really long runs from Durham to start. A defense that went 3 and out. Got a good hit on the quarterback with the linebacker pressure. Everything you could want as far as an execution standpoint, really, we've seen from Duncanville. And we're not even 3 minutes into this second half. They've already scored twice. They've already had a sack. Great start. Fantastic start.
Wayne, I was just about to say, the good news for Jones, there's a lot of time, almost the entirety of the second half remaining, but they're going to have to find something here. Is right now, Duncanville, if they can get another 3 and out and another score, Panthers may well be on their way to go into 2-0 to start the season.
Absolutely. You're down 17 right now, 24 the way Duncanville's defense. And Duncanville's defense has been playing pretty good. I think the main thing that's hurt them has been the penalties are what's really getting some free first downs for that Jones offense. So if Duncanville can play discipline, they can keep the laundry off the field, you'd expect further success for them, especially if Jones isn't quite going to be in the same category without the full offensive playbook with Robbins back there as quarterback instead of Jean Denis. But we'll see how this all plays out.
A big drive coming up for the Tigers. And this one through the hands of the returner into the end zone, finally able to get there. Good thing he was. You can see Duncanville just flying to the ball right now, and conversely, a little lackadaisical from the men in white.
Exactly. You can see Duncanville flying to the ball, playing with a lot of energy. Jones maybe a little bit shaky right now, and you can understand that. 2 touchdowns already in under 3 minutes. You got your starting quarterback that went down with a big hit. We'll see what happens, but it does look like Jones is a little bit rattled. And it looks like Jean Denis going back out there again, but he just doesn't seem quite to have the same bounce. Again, we'll keep our eye on that here in the second half as it develops, see if he's lost a little bit of mobility.
The senior signal caller remains the handoff And hit at the line of scrimmage was Parker, Charian Parker, running into a wall of blue.
And Eli Wallace, man, every time you look up, he's around that ball there, that Duncanville linebacker. And Duncanville, they are like sharks at the feeding frenzy here in this start of the second half. They smell blood in the water, and they are getting after it.
A team that has played in the state title game 3 of the last 4 years here in Texas.
And we had just talked about this. What was the only thing that was really slowing down the Duncanville defense? And it was, in fact, the Duncanville defense and a lack of discipline. And there you go. You had a tackle for a loss, have them at 2nd and long. You get an unsportsmanlike, and now you've moved the change and given them another lifeline. Again, I think that's going to be something moving forward. There's so much talent in the playoffs in the state of Texas at the 6A level that this is the kind of stuff that costs you playoff games if you can't get it cleaned up later in the year.
Jean-Denis flush, takes to the air, shows off the cannon of an arm. All kinds of contact there between the DB and the receiver. A flag in.
There it is. They just can't seem to get out of their way sometimes.
And Lane, you said it. You and I were talking about this at half. Duncanville, as good as they are, they may be able to get through district, may be able to get in the playoffs. But when you get to the 2nd and 3rd round, you're starting to take on some of these perennial powers in the Lone Star State. You could not have this kind of ill discipline and expect to get the ultimate prize.
No, I think it makes it really hard. You know, when you get in the state championships, the last few times they've tried, Houston, Galena Park, North Shore, phenomenally talented team out of the Houston area. And these are the kind of little mistakes that they hurt you. They hurt you in the really big games.
Underneath, Jean-Denis finds his target, able to stay on his feet, somehow eludes. What a run. Derek Rogers after the catch, down to the 30.
My goodness, what? That's a phenomenal amount of wiggle right there from Derek Rogers. Looks like he's going to be tackled immediately a couple moves later, and he's gained about 15 yards.
And you mentioned it, the battle between Galena Park, North Shore of Houston and Duncanville that we have seen the last few years here in Texas, and that has been a classic. It's always a good one when Houston and Dallas get together, and that has been for bragging rights on the highest stage. Unfortunately for Duncanville, it's been the team from Space City who's gotten the better of them more often than not.
Yeah, especially in the last few years. They're always low-scoring defensive games, a lot of great talent on the field, a lot of fun to watch. A lot of hard hits, but it has been the edge going to the Mustangs the last few years rather than the Panthers.
So injury on the field, another Panther down, and very early on they lost their sophomore, one of the star athletes, Aaron Pauly. He was injured, had to be carted off. Duncanville, both teams being bit by the injury bug a bit in this one. Duncanville with a bye next week. It is open next week, I should say, before they begin a district play against Lake Ridge on the 16th of September. They will host them there at Panther Stadium. The Fighting Tigers, they head home hosting Edgewater on the 16th. That is their next game as well.
And you know, Kit, we hadn't brought this up, but DeSoto in the second game in our doubleheader. DeSoto and Duncanville, both perennial powers in the state of Texas, and they are actually in the same district.
Denis able to link up, but tackled immediately. Great work from the defensive back. That was Lamadrick Spencer on the tackle.
Lamadrick Spencer doing a good job. Always difficult to tackle great athletes in open space, and it doesn't need to be pretty. It doesn't have to be a Sports Center highlight tackle. You just need to hang on and get them to the ground and not let them get going. That's a great job right there.
Wayne, to your previous point, you can mark your calendar. October 28th at Panther Stadium, Duncanville hosts DeSoto. That may be the district championship right there.
It usually is.
Jean-Denis drops back, pressure, and he's sacked. Duncanville again there. That wall of blue all over, and who else but number 20, Vernon Grant, the linebacker, who's been a force today.
Absolutely, and that's his second sack already here in the second half. Also great pressure coming from 6'4", 225-pound defensive end Colin Simmons. Both having themselves a little party back there at the quarterback. Great pressure from this Duncanville front four, front six, if you will, bringing the linebackers.
Third down for the Tigers. Pressure again underneath. Able to find Derek Rogers, and Rogers out of bounds, well short of the first down.
And one of the things you can do to slow down that defensive rush, you can throw little screens, that time a little bit of a slip screen to the outside, but good play call. Got to get those defensive linemen. You just can't let them tee off every time. They can't get a free run on the quarterback. Do something to slow them down, either a screen, a running back screen, maybe a draw, something along those lines so they just can't pin their ears back and get after it.
The Fighting Tigers band, as I misspoke, what I meant to say was enough for the first down as opposed to what I said. So 4th and short now, the opportunity. We will see Tigers, were they able to pick it up? It certainly appears that they were. Sherian Parker, the man. More often than not, when they've needed a big play, they've gone to number 1 on offense.
I think they are, as you correctly said, I think they are going to move the sticks here. I thought I saw them signaling for the first down, although I haven't seen the chains move.
To the air, incomplete. And full credit coming in at the last moment. Katavian Dodson Walker there, able to break up that pass.
Number 2 versus number 2. That ball's thrown pretty well, pretty much in a good spot, but credit to the defensive back there, Dodson Walker, making a really good play, breaking up what most likely would have been a touchdown, because I fully expect that there would have been a reception on the part of Derek Rogers.
Incompletion brings up 2nd and 10.
Boy, look at that press man at the bottom of the screen there.
Yards off the line of scrimmage. Duncanville able to find his target and then hit immediately, wrapped up for a loss. The pursuit from the Panthers, bringing numbers to the ball carrier.
LaModerick Spencer looked like he was shot out of a cannon. No sooner did Jean Denis get rid of that ball when Spencer just absolutely comes out of nowhere in the blink of an eye and sticks it to the Jones wide receiver. Boy, I'd love to see that. That is, boy, the closing speed right there. That is something.
Gonna be 3rd, a long 4 here. Duncanville again under pressure and goes down. That time, William Glenn with the sack.
Good push up the middle, right up the middle from Glenn. 6'3", 275 pounds, moving straight up the middle of the field. Great job getting off the ball. Collapses that pocket almost immediately, and really not much that Jean Denis can do about that. You know, as soon as you take your pass set and there's someone in your face and that offensive lineman moves into your lap, really kind of short-handed as a quarterback on that. And I think that foot, that ankle really is bothering the Jones quarterback, because in the past he'd scramble a little bit, get out of that, and look to throw the ball downfield. But he's just certainly not as mobile as he was in the first half before the injury.
Certainly not. He was a much different, much more elusive quarterback in the first quarter. A long field goal coming from the Tigers. And this one well short on the 47-yard field goal attempt. So turned over and back to the Panthers it goes, looking to extend this 30-13 lead.
30-13. He's touched the ball twice in the second half. He's gained almost 100 yards on only 2 touches in the second half. I would expect to see nothing more than Caden Durham get the ball again right here. You can see him right there in the middle of the picture. coming on, making a lot of good yardage to the left side of that offensive line behind big number 51, Josiah Drake, and the right guard, 54, Jerry Scales, plowing the way from Durham. See if they run it to the left again.
As you thought, Durham behind the left side of that line has a first down and then some into Tiger territory. Durham is having a field day in half number 2.
Durham needs to take that offensive line out for hamburgers after the game. Those guys are doing work, and they are plowing.
That is the shortest of Durham's 3 carries in the second half, and that was good for more than 20 yards.
Having a great game.
Pressure coming, able to get away. Keelan Russell, the sophomore, wisely steps out inside the 40.
We are highlighting how that offense isn't quite the same, with Jean Denis not quite up to full speed. And of course, we've had the absence of Malik Bryant, the Miami commit, from that right side defensive end. And I think that could be a big explanation why Duncanville is having success to the left side of their offensive line. That would be, of course, Jones' right side.
Again, Durham. And Durham wrapped up, taken down. Adrian Jackson on the tackle.
Another good tackle in open space right there. Adrian Jackson, good job. Again, doesn't have to be pretty. It just needs to be effective. Good job of getting open space. You grab a leg and you start rolling, and that ball carrier is going to come down. Nice play. And they finally held Durham under 20 yards on a carry right there.
Durham only picking up 6 that time. I think that's still okay by the Panthers coaching staff. They will go to their change of pace back as Caleb Kinney gets the carry for limited yards.
And Tariq Hollinger coming in from his linebacker position, really doing a good job making contact very quickly, keeping that to a minimal gain. They got a chance. It's 4th and 1. Good chance for Jones to get off the field here. Maybe change the momentum just a little bit, get something going.
Kinney remains the back, and to Kinney they go. No, it's going to be Russell around the side. Russell to the 20, the 10. Touchdown Panthers, the quarterback keeper from Keelan Russell.
And the perfect time to keep the ball. It's been a steady diet of number 9, Caleb Kinney, and number 29, Caden Durham. What a great time to keep the ball in that zone read. Keelan Russell pulling it out, calling his own number, taking the distance. It's 36-13. Momentum was on the side of Duncanville, and it is even more on the side of Duncanville. And what a dominating third quarter. 9 minutes, 3 touchdowns so far from Duncanville. And that extra point is good, and much like it was last week, a little bit slow coming out of the gates, red hot in the second half, and who knows what Duncanville could do. If they could come out like this at the beginning of a game, maybe they get that state championship that's eluded them for the last few years.
Right you are. They are a different team in the second half last week and this week. Keelan Russell, we've said it before, but just a sophomore. This is his first start. An impressive performance from the young man.
And gaining more and more confidence. He's connecting on some passes. He's got a good arm. He understands what he's doing. Offensive coordinator doing a really good job. And this is a big part of it when you have a new quarterback come in. The offensive coordinator needs to have a conversation with his new quarterback and make sure that he's running plays that that quarterback feels comfortable with. And offensive coordinator Todd Peterman obviously having that conversation with Russell. Hey, what do you like? What do you feel good about? And that's going to set that quarterback up for success. Of course, you get to get all the reps going further and further, and you can start putting more and more in that offensive. But nice job of play calling. Of course, your job's much easier as a quarterback whenever you can run the ball as well as Duncanville.
If you're just joining us, it was scoreless at the end of the first quarter. Duncanville led 17-13 at halftime, and they are outscoring Jones 20-0 here in the third. And it is going to be a 95-yard field for the Tigers as the return man wrapped up at his own 5.
And it seems It's like Duncanville brought in a new set of players in the second half, and they are just playing they are more aggressive. They're flying around. Their offensive line is getting all the blocks. Their running backs are breaking all the tackles. It's just night and day from that first half, and everything Duncanville in the second half's turning into gold, and Jones just hadn't been able to answer with them, and it's going to get out of hand for the Tigers.
And Lane, a big part of this as well for Duncanville, they've started to clean up the penalties that plagued them so much of the first half.
They did, and we saw on defense the only two big plays they really had. They give up two 15-yard penalties, almost back-to-back pass interference and unsportsmanlike conduct, but I don't really see, from what I've seen in the second half, I don't see Jones being able to go the distance, especially not 95 yards, versus this Duncanville defense, unless Duncanville does give them a little bit of help with some of those penalties.
A long field for Jean Denis. The handoff to Parker. Parker up across the 10 and all the way to the 14. Good gain for the senior.
And you see a little bit of mistake there by the strong safety from the Duncanville Panthers. He's got to run up and fill what we call the fill in the alley, or whatever you want to call it. He comes up and he hits that play with the inside shoulder. That allows the ring back to bounce outside. He's got to hit it with his inside shoulder and cut that ball back inside. That may be a pick six.
It almost was incomplete, and that was the best possible scenario there for the Tigers. They're fortunate that was not taken back for six.
Sorry to interrupt you. I got a little long-winded on that play, but breaking on the ball real quick like that close to your end zone, that's a fantastic play, and we've seen it plenty from Lamar Spencer at defensive back.
Third down, a little pitch underneath. There goes Wade. Wade, is it enough for the first down? Certainly the most versatile of the Tigers, and that's his first carry, and it is indeed. So when in doubt, go to number 7, and Wade picks up a new set of downs.
They've run that play 4 or 5 times today, and every time it seems like they get at least 5 yards on it. It's a great little short yardage running play. Little underhanded toss. The good thing about that, if that ball's dropped, it's an incomplete pass. It's not a fumble.
First and 10 from the 19. Pressure comes on Denis. Jean Denis dropped again.
And who is it again? It's number 20. That is the 3rd sack of the half for Vernon Grant. And that's just a pure speed rush off the edge, and the offensive tackle doesn't even get his hands on him. And there are a lot of hits being taken right now from number 9, Jean Denis. Again, his mobility has been restricted since picking up that injury, and he's been a bit of a sitting duck back there this second half.
Wayne Duncanville's front 7 starting to pin their ears back as they see that number 9 in white, not the elusive escapability that they had, that he showed early on. Steps up to throw, looking to the near sideline, almost intercepted. That ball, had it been in front of the receiver, he had to slow down. It may have been a touchdown for the Tigers.
Slightly underthrown, take nothing away from number 23, James Adam, the 6'1", 170-pound senior, doing a really good job there at defensive back. He was in position. Maybe that ball's thrown a little 4 or 5 yards further down the field. It's a completion. But nevertheless, in the right place at the right time, and almost making an interception on that play right there.
3rd and 15 for the Jones Fighting Tigers.
And I think you're going to see that defensive line. They know what they're doing. They're sitting there right now thinking, what is my best pass rush move?
Defensive ends flip. Here comes the pressure. Jean Denis again to the air, has a man. Did he make the catch?
He did.
What a catch on the sideline. Champari Smith able to tightrope the near sideline for a first down and then some.
Wow, what a pass, what a catch. You can see right there respect between two competitors. Love to see that right there. Spencer giving a high five to his counterpart, Smith. Good throw, good pass, and walking the tightrope there on the edge for a big gain for Jones, breathing a little life into this offense.
That is the respect you would imagine from that kind of play. All you can do is tip the cap. First and 10 in Panthers territory. They bring the pick and almost picked off the palms of number 32, Tamir Hunt.
And that's just a bust by the offensive line. There wasn't anything sneaky about that. The linebacker, Vernon Grant, again, just coming up the middle, and he's just unblocked. I mean, the left guard of the running back's got to be there. There's nothing sneaky. There's nothing tricky. That's not an exotic blitz. That's just a straight run and bust. And unfortunately, Jean Denis got to pay the price by getting pelted back there after that.
Second down and hit again, able to get the completion to Derek Rogers, and Rogers is going to be hit for a loss of 3, and the hits start to continue to accumulate, I should say, on number 9 in white.
And that's Grant again. He's right past the guard, he's right past the back, and a great open field tackle there by Dotson Walker. He's just having to get rid of the ball so fast. They really need to get over to the sideline, or they need to make an adjustment right now. That offensive line has got to be a little better communicating. And then right now, if I'm that running back, if I'm Parker, I got to have my eyes on number 20. He's coming every time on defense. I need to make sure he's accounted for.
The third quarter comes to a close. It'll be 3rd and 14 for the Jones Fighting Tigers. We start quarter number 4 here in the I-20 Classic, live from Clark Stadium in Fort Worth. It's the Duncanville Panthers leading the Jones Tigers 37-13 on Flow Football.
Remember, this is game 1 of the 2-game set here at the Interstate 20 Classic. Our next game to follow will kick off at 7 o'clock. Will feature DeSoto High School taking on St. Francis Academy from Baltimore, Maryland. And the kickoff at 7 p.m.
Start of the fourth quarter, a huge 3rd and 14 for the Jones Fighting Tigers. They need to complete this one to keep the drive alive, and thrown away. Pressure again onto the quarterback, Jean Denis, and he is taking some shots that time. He didn't want to take one, and you can see the Duncanville staff as it brings up 4th down. Duncanville outscoring Jones 20-0 in the 3rd quarter.
And again, you have another bust on the offensive line. Just a simple pressure from the linebacker coming up against that left guard. It looks like they're going to call a late hit here. They are. Oh, no. So getting rid of the ball, he's not outside of the tackle box. It doesn't get to the line of scrimmage. There's no receiver in the area. But again, I think you're going to have to go back. You're going to have to highlight. They've got to get on the sideline, and they've got to talk as a unit, as an offensive line, and get the running back over there and figure out how they're going to come up with blocking these linebackers. You got to get back to your basics on the protection scheme. You know there's someone that's accounted for. There's 5 people to block, and there's 5 guys rushing. So you got to have, there's someone there, but whatever reason, there's a miscommunication that's been happening in the second half. You've got people running through free, and that's got to get corrected, because you're never going to be able to get anything done back there in the passing game when you have guys running at you all the time.
But it appears Jones is going to go for it. 4th and a mile, pressure again, and turned over on downs. Jean Denis has not gotten away with a clean pass in this drive, and that time hit his big number 99, Jeffrey Mans, all 6'3", 360 pounds of him.
And again, I can't put any of that on Jean Denis. He's not holding on the ball very long. He doesn't have very long to hold on to the ball. Right now, like I said, Jones needs to get over there. They need to get that offensive line and that running back together They need to get that coordinated. Now, there's a difference between that time you just got beat on a pass rush. That's one thing. That's not any schematic. You just got beat. But schematically, with linebackers coming in free and untouched, that's something you got to get figured out on the whiteboard.
And here comes Russell and the Panthers offense. They've been nearly unstoppable in the second half because of that man right there. Unable to find any daylight was Caden Durham.
And it looks like it's actually going to be number 22.
Yeah, right you
Porter
are.
getting people some reps. It's always good. You're always one turned ankle from being in the ball game. Got a pretty good lead right here, 24 points. Get some backups in.
Pressure in the face of Russell. Has a man complete. What a catch over the shoulder to Corian Moore, the sophomore, to the 5-yard line.
That is sophomore to sophomore. And if you don't think the Duncanville Panthers offensive staff aren't fired up about the future there just south of Dallas with the Panthers, look at those two hook up. Imagine that coming in 2 years.
First and goal, handoff. Porter lowers the head, and the big back across for a Panthers touchdown.
And I think Duncanville's just kind of taking the fight out of Jones here in this second half. You had that absolute blitz coming out of halftime with those touchdowns coming fast and furious. You got that defense hitting home almost every time on that pass rush. You force Jones to be one-dimensional. You've got that offensive line starting to assert their dominance, and you're beginning to see why Duncanville is a state power, playing for that state championship, reaching the semifinals almost every year in the state of Texas.
44-13, Panthers lead the Tigers of Jones. Duncanville has held Jones scoreless in the second half. It was 17-13 at the break. In this second half, as you so correctly said, Lane, a different Duncanville team out of the locker room.
You said it, Kit. I'm not sure what Coach Sample said at halftime, but he needs to make sure he takes note of that. And the next time he needs to get his team going, repeat those words, because they are a different bunch over there in the blue shirts on the sideline. It's like they just opened up a can of whoop on them, and it is pretty impressive. They are putting on a show right here in the second half, our Duncanville.
Putting on a show in front of the home fans. As we remind you, this is just game one of our doubleheader. You can come join us for game two. Tickets available at the gate or online at alwe.com. Just click on the high school classic game button. As we will have one of the district foes of these Panthers, the DeSoto Eagles. They call it DeSoto U because of the number of players they send to the next levels. They will take on one of the top teams in the country, the Panthers of St. Francis Academy out of Baltimore.
And I'm really excited about that one. I've heard a lot about St. Francis over the years and never actually been able to see them played live. So I'm really looking forward to being able to be a part of that broadcast.
I had the opportunity to see St. Francis play a fellow Maryland side in Good Counsel a year ago. And St. Francis, well, not a lot of teams in the state of Maryland or in the East Coast, certainly not in the Mid-Atlantic, who want to take them on, and that is for good reason. So there's a flag on the return. So Jones, still time remaining, but if they're going to mount the comeback, it has to start in this drive. They have to come away with points. They cannot afford to wait any longer.
And we'll see what happened over there on the whiteboard with that offensive line and that pass protection scheme. It looks like they are going to go with the quarterback, the sophomore number 12, who we saw in the first half, Christian Robbins. Just not a good time to have Jean Denis back there with a little bit of an injury, and the offensive line having some trouble picking up the stunts. We'll see what the young man can do here.
Robbins will be helped out by the Panthers penalty, which gives his side better starting field position. But there's that pursuit from the Panthers that we mentioned. And again, who else but number 20, Vernon Grant, having himself a ball game.
You know, between Vernon Grant and Eli Wallace, those two linebackers, they are sideline to the sideline. They can rush the passer. They can chase people down. They can drop into coverage. A lot of talent back there behind those front four. And I need to give credit to the front four from Duncanville. Any linebacker that's any good, chances are they've got a really good defensive line in front of them. And the front four and the two linebackers really working in harmony for Duncanville.
An outstanding front seven, a little pitch underneath. And lowers the shoulder to pick up an extra yard is Tyron Randall.
Good tackle right there, number 39, Solomon Charles, getting down low, getting his pads down, wrapping the leg up, making sure that back doesn't get any extra yards.
Again, Coach Williams, his side, they get a bit of a break. They are actually off until the 16th, when they will host Edgewater.
And I want to give Coach Williams some credit. You know, he's obviously, he's not afraid to go play people. If you're playing Miami Northwestern and you're going to come all the way into hostile territory in the state of Texas and you're going to play Duncanville, you know, it takes some guts. You know, there's some teams that take the easy way out when they're scheduling games, but not Jones, and they should be committed for that.
They absolutely should. It'll help them as they get into district play. Robbins to the air, overshot his target.
And you're right on that district play. You know, you've got your non-district games, and I was always a believer in you want to have the hardest non-district foes you can get, especially if you're a team like these two, you know, where you're looking for deep playoff runs. You know, maybe if you're a lesser team, you know, you're not looking to play the hardest you can, but these two teams, you know, they want to know what they got, and they want to know what they got right now. And it's good to play quality opponents early and get your flaws exposed early so you know what you need to work on before you get to crunch time in district and the playoffs.
Here come the Tigers up across the 20, the 10, touchdown Derek Rogers and Jones. And this one may not be done just yet. Exactly what Jones needed as Rogers takes it better than 50 yards.
And I have never been to the Florida State track meet, but I could certainly see Derek Rogers being there in the 100, maybe the 200-yard dash, the long jump, something like that. What a display of acceleration and top-end speed, taking a simple pass and just blowing by Duncanville. And let me tell you something, kid. If you beat Duncanville's 11 players on defense to the end zone, you are moving.
No argument here, my friend. Rogers, a bright spot. The first points for Jones since the second quarter. They will go for two, will the Tigers. Robbins on the rollout. Has a man complete. A two-point conversion for the Tigers.
Nice concept there by Jones. You got that bunch set out there, three wide receivers. You run one straight vertical, you run one to the back pylon, you run to the front. You see if Duncanville can pass it off, kind of like basketball when you have all those screens and picks, and is someone going to get lost in the shuffle? And obviously for Duncanville, someone did. You had a wide open wide receiver in the back of the end zone. Good job, good play call right there. Great concept from Jones on that two-point conversion.
Still 9.5 minutes remaining in the ball game. Duncanville thought they had this one done and dusted. Jones saying that is not the case. Hold on just a second. That's exactly what you would expect. Neither one of these teams is going to give up. They will continue to fight. Jones showing just that.
And they're going to continue to fight. And then obviously both schools have plenty of home run hitters on both sides, and they're one touch away from going the distance. We've seen that from both of these offenses in the second half.
Big booming kick. Duncanville takes it from their own end zone up across the 20. A lane on the outside to the 30. And up just shy of the 40 is where the Panthers will start their drive. Montrell Turner, we've seen him a few times. Some big returns from number one as there is a flag down.
I think this is going to... Pardon me, I think this is going to go against Duncanville here. And one thing we've talked about is cleaning up these penalties. For the most part, they've done a pretty good job on it on defense. seems on special teams they still have these problems with blocks in the backs and holds and whatnot. We saw those on 2 punts earlier in the first half. It's going to negate a big return right here on this right here. Again, we're looking at Duncanville. You know, we're going to hold them to a high standard. They're looking to play for state championships. They're looking to win for state championships. And just something for Coach Samples to jot down in his little notebook there on the sideline, things to get cleaned up.
1st and 10, Panthers backing up all the way inside their own 15 after the penalty on the return. Again, they elect to keep things on the ground. They're taking some time off the clock here in the 4th quarter. Markel Porter there with the carry.
Again, continuing to pound on the left side. That offensive line. You got left guard Amir Ross, 6'4", 320. He's a sophomore. You got left tackle Cameron Simon, 6'4", 335. So you're looking between those two young men right there, 655 pounds of human being. And I would probably want to run behind those two guys as well.
There's certainly some size on both lines that we have seen today. Porter up over the 25. There will be a lot of suitors for their signatures to come to their campuses and be student athletes the next few years.
Of course, don't mean to take away from the entire Duncanville offensive line as a unit. They've played very, very well, but it seems like they are a little more run heavy in this second half to that left side. So credit to them. I always think it's a great idea for coaches. If it's going to work, let's keep doing it until they figure out how to stop it and then have your adjustments ready to go off of that.
Again, Porter met in the hole, picks up an extra yard. Tyler Franklin in on the tackle.
Also saw number 6, Dontre Robinson, down there at the bottom of that tile. Looks like both teams getting a few backups here in the latter parts of this ball game. It's good. Those kids play hard too. They practice hard. You want to get them some reps.
Well, as you said earlier, both these teams looking to make deep runs in their respective state playoff races. They both want a state title, and if you're going to be at that level, you have to have a deep roster.
Yep. And you got to develop talent for the future as well.
These are programs. They are not one-off, and again, Porter continues as the ball carrier, and he's met by Mr. Charles, another tackle from number 35 in white.
I believe I heard that on the PA they just called number 79, Zion Bennett, offsides, which will give a free first down to Duncanville there. They'll move it 5 yards forward.
Russell. Back to Porter. Porter bounces it outside. He's strung out. Good pursuit from the Tigers. And Porter hit for a loss.
Good job there by number 31, Corey Andrews. Really holding his ground out there on the left side of that defensive line for the Jones Tigers. Ball tried to bounce outside. He wasn't having any of it. Holding his ground, staying tough, making the tackle. And impressively making the tackle while shedding a block. Hard to do both of those things at the same time. He wasn't running free. Great play, young man. Good job. Looks like Duncanville's content to kind of slow it down a little bit here, trying to get this thing to the house.
They will make a change as E.J. McKinney comes in as the back. Another running back on, now number 34, who's met in the hole and knocked backwards.
Met immediately by number 11, Moses Ezekiel. And it looks like maybe another offsides penalty against Jones.
Right you are. So Jones having to give up another 5 yards.
And it was going to be second and long. Excuse me, it was going to be third and long. And now it's down to second and medium. Of course, Duncanville content to run some clock and keep pounding the rock here. Got it inside of 5 minutes by the time this next play is going to be over.
McKinney remains the Panthers running back with Russell. Again to McKinney they go. Up over the right side and across midfield. Good for the first down. Later, remember, this was a 4-point game at half. It was 17-13 Duncanville on top, but they came out a house of fire, outscoring Jones 20-0 in the third quarter. And really, that's been the story of this ball game.
Absolutely, and it opened up with that long touchdown right out of the gate from Durham. He went about 60 yards. The second time he touched the ball, he went about 50. The third time he touched it, he went for 25. The fourth time, he only went for 6. So incredible second half by that young man. Great job getting to the passer from the Duncanville defensive perspective. And they have put it on Jones here in this second stanza after halftime.
Their defensive line, as you mentioned, really setting the tone, and their linebackers have come in. Wallace and Grant both have put on a show today.
They have done great. You have Michael January in there. You know, he was 6'5", 300 pounds, you know, and he's going to fill gaps. And as an offensive line, you're going to have to make sure you double team that guy at the point of attack and then have an offensive lineman maybe slide off to the linebacker. You know, well, the problem is by the time that you slide off from that double team, you got linebackers as good as Grant, you got linebackers as good as Wallace. Well, they're going to be there. You know, by the time you slide off and chip as an offensive lineman, that linebacker's always in the backfield for a tackle for a loss. So all around, that defense looking really good on the back end. Duncanville, we've seen some great plays from Spencer back there breaking up passes. So really, Duncanville looking like what we've come to expect from them over the past decade or more in the state of Texas as far as powerhouse in the biggest division in the state of Texas.
3rd and short for the Panthers. Now under 3 minutes remaining. They look to continue to keep this drive alive and put this one on ice. McKinney has the first down across the 40 and more. Elaine, you were talking about that defensive line. My contention is that the Panthers saw Big Mr. Peters recover the fumble and take it to the house, and everybody said, I want to get on in the action as well. They saw their defensive line mate score a touchdown, so from then it was off to the races for the big men in blue.
Absolutely. Everyone wanting a little piece of the action on that. And I can't wait for those guys to get together and watch that on film coming up on Monday when they review the game film. That'll be a fun time to be in the film room. They'll all have a big laugh, and I bet they get pretty excited when they see that again.
I've been fortunate to call a lot of games with you, and as a former defensive lineman, that's about as excited as you get when one of your defensive line mates picks it up and is able to take it in. You were just about as excited as Mr. Peters was on that one.
Oh, I love it. I mean, it's such a big deal to be able to do something like that, and I'm very serious. You know, we're having fun on a broadcast, but that is a big, big deal. I mean, it really is. I mean, it's almost a once-in-a-lifetime thing for a defensive lineman to be able to scoop and score like that. So hats off to him. What a great experience.
In all seriousness, it really set the tone for Duncanville's defense. It's now under a minute and a half left in this one, and they can simply run it and go ahead to move to 2-0 on the year. Will Coach Reginald Sample's side. A loss will drop the Jones Fighting Tigers to 1-1 as McKinney is stood up, and this ball pops out on the ground. It's going to be a battle forward, I think. We'll see if Jones is there. They say they have it, and they do indeed. Recovered by the Fighting Tigers. Lamarius Fair there.
And I think for Jones coming forward out of this, I think the two big things you're going to look for is how quickly and how completely Max and John Denis can recover at quarterback, because obviously when he's full speed, that opens up a lot more on offense for you as far as the Jones Tigers. And how quick will Malik Bryant get back to full speed after that ankle that he banged up just a little bit in that first half? So I think those two injuries are going to be key to see how they adjust. And then if you can't get John Denis back, how quickly can you develop Christian Robbins moving forward for the Jones Tigers offense.
Those have been huge losses for them without one of their top offensive and defensive players. Taking to the air, the Tigers. And this one batted away at the last second, able to get in was Quinard Choice. I would add to that for Jones, figure out a way to get number 7, Dylan Wade, the ball as much as you can, as he has been a force on both sides tonight.
Every time he's touched the ball, he seems to get 5, 6, 7 yards on that carry. And that little underhanded toss where he lines up at tight end, kind of wraps it around to the right. Of course, we've seen great speed from Jabari Smith. We saw that outstanding touchdown run where he beat all of Duncanville to the house from Derek Rogers. So Jones, they've got plenty of talent. They're a program with a lot of pride. I know they're upset that they're lost, but this certainly is not a season-defining loss or anything like that. They'll certainly recover and go on to do great things this year.
We remind you one last time, stick with us as we will have our second game in the doubleheader coming up. That'll be scheduled for 7 p.m. local time, 7 p.m. Central Standard, as that will be the DeSoto Eagles taking on the St. Francis Academy Panthers out of Baltimore. Should be a good one there as well. Hope we'll have the pleasure of your company for that game. Jones with the sophomore signal caller, Robbins, and he is sacked. Duncanville, they haven't given up on this one. Tamir Hunt there.
Nothing fancy there. That's just a straight speed rush around the left offensive tackle from Jones. Tamir Hunt just using outstanding explosion and athletic ability, just beating him right around the edge right there for his first sack of the game. The sophomore getting in on the action. He'll be excited about that.
We've seen a lot of impressive sophomores in this one. A very bright future, not just this season, but in seasons to come for both these teams. More pressure comes. Able to find their release valve underneath and up across the 30 before he is tattooed was Malik Tillman.
You know what, I like that. I kind of thought they might go to those kind of plays a little bit earlier, a little bit of a screen pass there to end the game.
And that will do it. Duncanville behind a 20-0 third quarter where they outscored their foes. They come away with the victory. Does the hometown team. The Panthers move to 2-0 on the year. The Tigers drop to 1-1. Again, stick with us. DeSoto and St. Francis Academy coming up at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. For Lane Grigg, I'm Kit McConico. Our entire Flow football crew, the final from Clark Stadium in Fort Worth.